The thing about 10-year anniversaries is they're like dental appointments. Everyone pretends they're important, but mostly, you just want them over with. I'm standing in Murphy's Craft Brewery, watching my wife Julia work the room like she's running for mayor, and wondering when exactly I became invisible in my own marriage. "Tommy!" Rick Banner's voice cuts through the crowd like a rusty saw. My childhood best friend appears beside me, all white teeth and expensive cologne. "Great party, buddy. Julia really outdid herself." That's the thing that gets me. Julia organized this whole shindig without asking what I wanted. 10 years of marriage, and she planned our anniversary party like I was just another guest. But Rick knows every detail, down to the craft beer selection. "Yeah, she's got a real talent for throwing parties," I say, watching Julia laugh at something Rick's fiancée Tara just said. The laugh doesn't reach her eyes. "I'm a project manager for a construction company. Nothing glamorous, but it pays the bills." Julia works in HR at some tech startup downtown. These days, she talks more about her co-workers than she does about us, especially about her work-husband situations that make my stomach turn. "You okay, man?" Rick asks, but he's already looking past me toward Julia. "Just peachy." I take a long pull from my beer. Living the dream. The brewery is packed with people I barely recognize anymore. Julia's friends from work cluster around the high-top tables, their voices getting louder with each round. My brother Danny catches my eye from across the room and makes a drinking motion. At least someone here gets it. "Tom, honey?" Julia appears at my elbow, her smile bright and sharp. "Rick was just telling me about his new promotion. Isn't that wonderful?" Rick puffs up like a peacock. "Regional Sales Director. Company car, expense account, the whole package." "Congratulations," I say, meaning none of it. "I'm sure you earned every bit of it." Julia's grip tightens on my arm. "Rick's always been so driven. Remember in high school when he started that lawn care business?" "Oh, I remember. I also remember doing half the work while Rick took all the credit. Some things never change." "Speaking of work," Julia continues, "Rick might have some opportunities for you, Tom. His company's always looking for good project managers." The way she says it makes it sound like charity, like I need Rick Banner to rescue my pathetic career. My jaw clenches, but I keep smiling. "That's generous, Rick. Really generous." "Anything for my oldest friend," Rick says, clapping me on the shoulder. His hand lingers there just a second too long, like he's marking territory. Julia excuses herself to check on the appetizers, and Rick leans closer. "She's worried about you, you know. Says you've been distant lately." Distant? The word tastes bitter. I'm standing right here. "Come on, Tommy. When's the last time you two really talked? I mean, really connected?" The question hits harder than it should. When was the last time? Last month? Last year? Julia and I used to stay up until midnight talking about everything and nothing. Now we communicate through text messages and sticky notes on the refrigerator. "We're fine," I lie. Rick's smile doesn't waver. "Of course you are. I just think maybe you could put in a little more effort. Julia's an amazing woman. She deserves someone who appreciates what he has." Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. The implication hangs in the air like smoke. Someone like Rick, he means. Someone successful and charming and everything I'm apparently not. "I appreciate my wife just fine," I say, but my voice sounds hollow even to me. "I'm sure you do." Rick straightens his tie. "I'm just saying, if you ever need advice, marriage advice, career advice, whatever, I'm here for you, buddy." He walks away before I can respond, leaving me standing alone with my beer and my growing suspicion that I'm missing something important, something obvious. Danny appears beside me. "That guy's still a snake, you know." "He's trying to help." "Right, and I'm trying to win the lottery." Danny takes a swig from his bottle. You see the way he looks at Julia? I have seen it. The lingering glances, the way he finds excuses to touch her arm when he talks, the way she lights up when he enters a room. They're friends, I say. Sure they are. Danny's voice drips sarcasm, just like the Titanic was a boat. Before I can argue, Julia's voice cuts through the noise. She's standing on a chair near the bar, tapping her glass with a fork. Everyone, can I have your attention, please? The room quiets down, all eyes on my wife. She looks beautiful up there, confident and radiant. For a moment, I remember why I fell in love with her. I just wanted to thank everyone for coming tonight to celebrate 10 wonderful years of marriage with Tom and me. Polite applause ripples through the crowd. Julia's eyes find mine across the room. Marriage isn't always easy, she continues. There are ups and downs, challenges and celebrations, but having good friends to support you makes all the difference. Her gaze shifts to Rick, who's standing near the front of the crowd. The look that passes between them lasts exactly 3 seconds too long. So here's to friendship, Julia raises her glass, to loyalty, and to the people who really know us. Everyone drinks, but I barely taste the beer. That look, I've seen it before. In movies, in books, in other people's marriages right before they fall apart. Great speech, Rick says, appearing beside Julia as she climbs down from the chair. His hand finds the small of her back, steadying her. Thanks, she breathes, not moving away from his touch. I watch this little scene from across the room, and something cold settles in my chest. Not anger exactly, more like recognition, like finally seeing the picture that's been forming right in front of me for months. Danny elbows me. You seeing this? I'm seeing it. So what are you going to do about it? That's the question, isn't it? What does a guy do when he realizes his best friend and his wife are playing house behind his back, when he's been the fool in his own story for God knows how long? I'm going to finish my beer, I tell Danny, and then I'm going to figure out exactly what's been going on. The party continues around us, but I'm not really there anymore. I'm thinking about late nights when Julia claimed to be working, about Rick's sudden interest in helping with my career, about the way they both seem to know things about each other that they never learned from me. By the time the last guest leaves, I've made a decision. I'm going to find out the truth, whatever it takes. And then, well, then we'll see what happens next. Julia locks the door behind Tara and Rick, who were the last to leave. That went well, don't you think? It was perfect, I say, and for the first time all night, I mean exactly what I say. The next morning, Julia leaves for work before I'm fully awake. She kisses my forehead, a gesture that feels more like checking off a box than showing affection, and whispers something about an early meeting. By the time I stumble to the kitchen, there's just a note on the counter. Thanks for last night. You were great. Jay. You were great, like I performed some kind of service. I make coffee and sit at our kitchen table staring at that note. 10 years ago, Julia would have woken me up with kisses. We would have spent the morning rehashing the party, laughing about drunk Uncle Pete or gossiping about who looked good and who didn't. Now I get a post-it note. My phone buzzes. Text from Rick. Thanks again for an awesome night, buddy. Julia's lucky to have you. The message makes my skin crawl. There's something performative about it, like he's establishing an alibi. See? I'm just the supportive best friend, telling the husband how lucky he is. I screenshot the message. I'm not sure why yet, but instinct tells me to start keeping records. At work, I can't concentrate. I'm supposed to be reviewing blueprints for a shopping center renovation. But my mind keeps wandering back to that look between Julia and Rick. 3 seconds. That's all it took to crack my world open. Earth to Tom, my coworker Steve says. The client's asking about the timeline for electrical work. Right. Sorry. I flip through my notes trying to look professional. We're looking at 6 weeks, assuming no complications with the existing wiring. The meeting drags on for another hour. Budgets, Schedules, permit applications, the mundane details of my mundane job. But at least it's honest work. Nobody's pretending to be something they're not. During lunch, I drive past Julia's office building. Her car is in the parking lot, right where it should be. I feel ridiculous for checking, but also relieved. Maybe I'm paranoid. Maybe that look was nothing. Then I see Rick's BMW parked 3 spaces away. He doesn't work here. His company is clear across town. There's no reason for him to be at Julia's office unless... My phone rings. Julia. "Hey, honey," she says, and her voice sounds slightly breathless. "I'm grabbing lunch with some coworkers. Might be a little late tonight." "Okay," I manage. "Where are you going?" "Oh, just that little cafe down the street. Nothing fancy." I'm looking right at the cafe down the street from her office. The parking lot is empty except for one car, not Rick's BMW. "Have fun," I tell her. "Love you," she says, but it sounds automatic. A reflex. "Love you too." I hang up and sit in my truck, staring at Rick's car. Part of me wants to march into that building and confront them both, demand answers, make a scene, but I'm not that guy. I'm the guy who plans things out, who thinks before he acts. So instead, I start planning. That evening, Julia comes home with Thai food and an apologetic smile. "Sorry I'm late. The lunch meeting ran long, and then I had to catch up on emails." "No problem." I accept the container of pad Thai like a peace offering. "How was Rick's first day as regional sales director?" She freezes for just a moment. "What?" "Rick, his promotion. You were so excited about it last night." "Oh, right. I don't know. I haven't talked to him today." The lie comes so easily, so smoothly. How long has she been lying to me? We eat dinner watching some cooking show Julia likes. She seems relaxed, chatty even. She tells me about her co-worker's engagement, about the new coffee machine in the break room, about everything except where she really was at lunch. "I was thinking," she says during a commercial break, "maybe we should plan a weekend getaway. Just the 2 of us. It's been a while since we did anything romantic." The suggestion catches me off guard. That sounds nice. Rick was telling me about this bed and breakfast in Vermont. Says it's really beautiful this time of year. Of course, Rick told her about it. Rick probably tells her about a lot of things. "We could invite Rick and Tara," Julia continues. "Make it a couples weekend. Or," I say carefully, "we could just go by ourselves. Like you said, just the 2 of us." She looks disappointed. "I just thought it might be fun to hang out with friends. But you're right. We should have some alone time." The way she says alone time makes it sound like a chore, like something she has to endure rather than enjoy. After dinner, Julia disappears into her home office to catch up on work. I can hear her typing, occasionally talking on the phone in low voices. At one point, I hear her laugh, really laugh, the way she used to laugh with me. I clean the kitchen and try to watch TV, but I can't focus. Every sound from her office feels significant. Every pause in typing, every muffled word. Around 10 o'clock, she emerges looking tired but satisfied. "Sorry, honey. Big project deadline coming up." "What kind of project?" "Oh, just HR stuff, policy revisions. Really boring." Another lie. Julia's always loved talking about work, especially when she's working on something important. She used to bounce ideas off me, ask for my opinion on workplace dynamics. Now her job is suddenly really boring. We go to bed like roommates, each claiming our own side of the mattress. Julia falls asleep quickly, but I lie awake, listening to her breathe, wondering if she dreams about Rick, wondering how long this has been going on. The next day, I decide to do some investigating. During my lunch break, I drive to Rick's office building. His BMW is in its assigned parking spot. I wait. At 12:30, Rick emerges from the building, but he doesn't go to lunch. He gets in his car and drives across town, straight to Julia's office. I follow at a distance, feeling like a private detective in a bad movie. Rick parks and goes inside. 20 minutes later, he comes out with Julia. They walk to his car together, her hand briefly touching his arm as he opens the passenger door for her. They drive to a small restaurant I've never heard of, the kind of place couples go when they don't want to be seen. I park across the street and watch them through the window. They sit close together, leaning in to hear each other speak. Rick reaches across the table and touches Julia's hand. She doesn't pull away. I take pictures with my phone. The images are grainy and distant, but clear enough. Clear enough to prove what I already know in my gut. When they finish lunch, Rick drives Julia back to her office. They sit in his car for another 10 minutes talking. Just before she gets out, Rick leans over and kisses her cheek. It's not a friendly peck. It's intimate, lingering. Julia touches her cheek as she walks back to her building, like she's trying to hold on to the feeling. I drive back to work in a daze. The evidence is right there on my phone. Photos of my wife having lunch with my best friend, looking happier than she has with me in months. But somehow, seeing it doesn't make it more real. It makes it surreal, like I'm watching someone else's life fall apart. That evening, Julia is distant again. She picks at her dinner and checks her phone constantly. "Everything okay?" I ask. "Just work stuff," she says without looking up. Her phone buzzes with a text. She reads it and smiles. A real smile, soft and genuine. "Good news?" I ask. She quickly puts the phone face down. "Just a friend." "Which friend?" "Nobody you know." But I do know. I know exactly which friend makes her smile like that. That night, after Julia goes to sleep, I sit in the dark living room and scroll through the photos on my phone. My wife and my best friend sharing secrets over lunch. The evidence of their betrayal glowing on my screen. I should feel angry. I should feel hurt. Instead, I feel something colder and more dangerous. I feel calculating. They think I'm stupid. They think I don't see what's happening right in front of me. They're about to learn how wrong they are. I spend the weekend watching Julia and Rick perform their little charade. Saturday morning, Rick calls to invite us to brunch. Julia practically bounces off the couch with enthusiasm. "That sounds perfect," she tells him, then covers the phone and whispers to me, "You don't mind, do you?" What am I supposed to say? That I mind my wife being excited to see another man? That I mind being the third wheel in my own marriage? "Sure," I tell her. "Sounds great." We meet Rick and Tara at some trendy place downtown with exposed brick walls and overpriced eggs. Benedict. Tara looks tired, distracted. She keeps checking her phone and barely touches her food. "You okay, babe?" Rick asks her, but his eyes are on Julia. "Just work stress," Tara says. "My boss is being impossible." Rick nods sympathetically, but I can tell he's not really listening. He's watching Julia cut her pancakes, fascinated by the mundane task like it's performance art. "Tom's been working on this huge renovation project," Julia says, trying to include me in the conversation. "Tell them about the shopping center, honey." I give them the basics. Square footage, timeline, budget. Rick pretends to be interested, asking questions about permits and contractors. But when Julia starts talking about her work, he leans forward like she's revealing state secrets. "The company's expanding so fast," Julia says. "We're hiring like crazy. It's exciting but exhausting." "You're handling it beautifully," Rick says. "You always were good under pressure." "Remember senior year when you had to give that presentation for AP History?" Julia laughs. "You were so nervous, but you nailed it." They're sharing memories I'm not part of, even though I was there for most of high school. In their version of events, I'm edited out, reduced to background noise. Tara excuses herself to use the restroom, and Rick immediately shifts his chair closer to Julia. "I've been thinking about what you said," he tells her quietly. "About making changes." Julia glances at me, then back at Rick. "We should probably talk about that later." "Talk about what?" I ask. "Just work stuff," Julia says quickly. "Rick's thinking about switching companies." "But Rick isn't looking for a new job. He just got promoted." And the way they're both avoiding eye contact tells me this conversation has nothing to do with his career. When Tara comes back, she looks even more stressed. "I think I need to head home," she says. "I've got a migraine coming on." "Of course, babe." Rick stands immediately, but he looks disappointed. "Rain check on shopping?" Julia nods. "Feel better, Tara?" We all walk out together, but in the parking lot, Rick pulls me aside while the women say their goodbyes. "Hey, can I ask you something?" he says. "Sure." "Are things okay with you and Julia? She seems, I don't know, like she needs more support lately." The question is perfectly crafted, concerned friend looking out for his buddy's marriage. But there's something predatory in his eyes, like he's probing for weakness. "We're fine," I tell him. "Every marriage has its ups and downs." "Of course. I just worry about you guys. You're both such good people. You deserve to be happy." "We are happy." Rick nods, but his expression says he doesn't believe me. "Well, if you ever need someone to talk to man, I'm here." "Thanks, Rick. Really." He claps me on the shoulder. That's what friends are for. On the drive home, Julia is quiet. She stares out the passenger window, lost in thought. "Tara didn't look good," I say. "No, she didn't. I think she's been having problems at work." Rick seems worried about her. Julia makes a non-committal sound. He's always been protective of the people he cares about. The comment hangs in the air between us. Is she one of the people he's protective of? And what exactly is he protecting her from? Me? That afternoon, while Julia runs errands, I do some research. I create a fake email account and send myself the photos from the restaurant. Then I start digging into Rick's social media, looking for patterns. What I find makes my stomach turn. Rick has been liking every single one of Julia's posts for months. Not just the recent ones, but going back through her entire timeline. Comments that seem friendly on the surface but are actually intimate when you know what to look for. Beautiful as always on a photo of Julia at her company picnic. Lucky guy on our anniversary post, but he's not looking at me in the photo, he's looking at her. Miss our talks on a random Tuesday when Julia posted about having a rough day at work. It's all there, hidden in plain sight. A digital affair playing out in the comments section of social media. I screenshot everything. Sunday evening, Julia gets a phone call. She glances at the screen, and her whole face changes. Softer, more animated. "I should take this," she says, disappearing into the bedroom. I creep closer to the door, hating myself for eavesdropping but unable to stop. "I know." Julia's voice is barely above a whisper. "I feel the same way." Silence. "It's just complicated. I need more time to figure things out." More silence. "You know I care about you. That's not the issue." My heart pounds so hard, I'm afraid she'll hear it through the door. "I have to go. Tom's here." When she comes out of the bedroom, Julia looks flushed and guilty. "Work call?" I ask. "Yeah, crisis with the new employee handbook." "On Sunday night?" You know how it is. HR never sleeps. But her smile is too bright, too forced, and she won't meet my eyes. That night, I lie in bed next to my wife and make a decision. I'm done being the fool. I'm done pretending I don't see what's happening. It's time to take action, but I'm not going to confront them directly. That's what they expect. The jealous husband making accusations he can't prove. Instead, I'm going to be smart about this. Strategic. I'm going to give them exactly what they want. The opportunity to be together. And when they take it, I'll be ready. The first step is creating the perfect opportunity. Rick's birthday is next weekend. I'm going to throw him a party. A surprise party that will bring everyone together in one place. Julia will help plan it, of course. She'll be excited to do something special for Rick. And during that party, with all our friends and family watching, I'm going to reveal exactly what kind of man Rick Banner really is. I close my eyes and start planning. Every detail needs to be perfect. The timing, the audience, the evidence. Rick wants to destroy my marriage? Fine. Let's see how he likes having his own life destroyed in return. The game is just beginning. Monday morning, I call Rick before Julia leaves for work. "Hey, buddy," I say, putting on my most enthusiastic voice. "I've got a great idea for your birthday." "Oh, man, you don't need to do anything special." "Are you kidding? 37 is a big deal. I'm thinking surprise party, all our friends. Maybe rent out the back room at Murphy's again." There's a pause. "That's really generous, Tom, but Julia's already excited about it. She's got all kinds of ideas for decorations and food." That gets his attention. "Julia knows about this?" "She's the one who suggested it, actually. Said you deserved something special after your promotion." Another pause, longer this time. "Well, if Julia thinks it's a good idea..." "Great. I'll start making calls today. This is going to be awesome." I hang up and turn to Julia, who's been listening from the kitchen doorway. "That was sweet of you," she says, but there's something cautious in her expression. Rick's been such a good friend over the years. He deserves a celebration. Julia nods, but she's studying my face like she's trying to read my thoughts. "Are you sure you want to plan a whole party? That's a lot of work." "I was hoping you'd help me. You're so much better at this stuff than I am." Her expression softens. "Of course I'll help. What did you have in mind?" For the next hour, we sit at the kitchen table planning Rick's surprise party. Julia gets more animated than I've seen her in months, suggesting themes and menu options and guest lists. Watching her plan another man's birthday party with such enthusiasm should make me angry, but instead, it makes me coldly satisfied. She's walking right into my trap. "We should invite everyone from high school," Julia says. "Rick would love that." "Great idea. I'll dig up some old photos for decorations. And we should do a toast. You know, have people share their favorite Rick stories." "Perfect. I've got some great Rick stories to share." Julia beams at me. "This is going to be such a wonderful surprise." Oh, it's going to be a surprise, all right. Just not the kind she's expecting. Over the next few days, Julia throws herself into party planning with an energy I haven't seen in years. She makes lists, calls caterers, designs invitations. She even takes a long lunch on Wednesday to shop for decorations, though she tells me she's meeting with the catering company. I know she's lying because I called the caterer. They're not meeting until Friday. Wednesday afternoon, I get a text from Rick. "Julia mentioned you might need help setting up for the party. Happy to lend a hand." I screenshot the message. Rick and Julia have obviously been discussing the party, discussing me, planning how to handle the situation, maybe even joking about how clueless I am. Thursday evening, Julia works late again. "Big deadline," she explains over the phone. "Don't wait up." But I do wait up. I sit in the dark living room until 11:30 when I hear her car in the driveway. She comes in looking disheveled and guilty, her lipstick gone and her hair slightly messed up. "How was work?" I ask from the couch. She jumps, startled. "Tom, you scared me. I thought you'd be asleep." "Couldn't sleep." "How was the deadline?" "Fine, good. We got everything finished." She won't look directly at me. "I'm exhausted. I'm going to take a shower and go to bed." She disappears upstairs, and I hear the shower running for a long time. When she finally comes to bed, she smells like unfamiliar soap and shampoo. Friday morning, Julia is cheerful and chatty, making breakfast and talking about last-minute party details. The guilt from last night has been replaced by excitement. "I picked up the decorations yesterday," she says. "They're in my car, and the caterer confirmed everything for tomorrow night." "You're amazing," I tell her. "Rick's going to be so surprised. I just want it to be perfect. He means so much to both of us." The way she says both of us makes my jaw clench, but I keep smiling. Saturday afternoon, we arrive at Murphy's early to set up. The back room looks festive with balloons and streamers and a big Happy Birthday Rick banner. Julia has thought of everything, Photo displays from high school, Rick's favorite beer on tap, even a playlist of songs from our senior year. "This is incredible," I tell her. "You've outdone yourself." She glows under the praise. I just want Rick to know how much we appreciate him. Guests start arriving at 6. Old friends from high school, co-workers, neighbors. Everyone seems genuinely excited to celebrate Rick. He really is charming, I have to give him that. People like him, which is going to make what happens next even more devastating. Rick arrives at 7, led in by Tara with his hands over his eyes. When he sees the room full of people, his face lights up with what looks like genuine surprise and joy. "You guys," he says, looking around the room. "This is incredible." His eyes find Julia first, before they find me. She's glowing with pride and happiness, basking in his gratitude. "This was all Tom's idea," Julia announces. "He planned the whole thing." "With a lot of help from my amazing wife," I add, putting my arm around Julia's waist. She tenses slightly at my touch. Rick comes over and pulls me into a bear hug. "Thank you, man. This means everything to me." "Anything for my best friend," I say, patting his back. "We need to stick together, right?" "Absolutely." The party is in full swing by 8 o'clock. People are laughing, drinking, sharing stories about Rick's glory days. He's holding court near the bar, regaling everyone with tales of his recent promotion and his plans for the future. I watch Julia watching him, her face soft with admiration. She laughs at his jokes, refills his drink, makes sure he's the center of attention, playing the perfect hostess for another man's party. At 9 o'clock, I tap my beer bottle with a fork to get everyone's attention. "If I could have everyone's attention," I call out, "I'd like to propose a toast to the birthday boy." The room quiets down. Rick grins and raises his beer. "Rick Banner," I begin, "has been my best friend since we were kids. We've been through everything together, high school, college, my wedding day. He was my best man, and I was honored to stand up for him." Murmurs of agreement ripple through the crowd. Julia is smiling proudly. "Rick's always been there for me," I continue, "through good times and bad. He's always been willing to help out, to lend a hand, to get involved in whatever I'm going through." Rick's smile falters slightly. Something in my tone has caught his attention. "In fact," I say, reaching into my jacket pocket, "Rick's been so involved in my life lately that I thought everyone should see just how helpful he's been." I pull out my phone and connect it to the room's sound system. "So here's to Rick Banner, everyone. A true friend who really knows how to take care of the people he loves." I hit play on the audio file I prepared, a compilation of Rick and Julia's phone conversations that I recorded using an app on Julia's phone. Their voices fill the room, intimate and conspiratorial. "I can't stop thinking about you," Rick's voice says through the speakers. "I know," Julia responds. "This is getting complicated." "Leave him, Julia. You know you want to." The room goes completely silent. Every face turns from the speakers to Rick, to Julia, to me. Julia has gone white as paper. Rick looks like he's about to be sick. "Tom," Julia whispers, "please." But I'm not done. The recording continues, playing their plans to meet, their complaints about me, their discussions of a future together. Every intimate detail of their affair broadcast to a room full of our friends and family. Rick lunges toward the sound system, but I block his path. "Let everyone hear what kind of man you really are," I say loudly enough for the whole room to hear. "You're insane," Rick snarls. This is the truth," I interrupt. "This is my best friend and my wife planning to destroy my marriage behind my back." The recording reaches its crescendo, Rick telling Julia he loves her, Julia saying she's going to ask for a divorce, both of them laughing about how oblivious I am. When it finally ends, the silence is deafening. 40 people staring at Rick and Julia with expressions ranging from shock to disgust to pity. Rick's face is red with rage and humiliation. You had no right. I had every right, I say calmly. She's my wife. You're supposed to be my friend. Tara pushes through the crowd, tears streaming down her face. Is it true? She asks Rick. Is all of this true? Rick can't meet her eyes. Tara, I can explain. She slaps him hard across the face. The sound echoes through the silent room. Don't, she says. Don't you dare try to explain this away. She turns and walks out, pushing past the crowd of stunned guests. Several people follow her, shooting disgusted looks at Rick as they leave. Julia is crying now, mascara running down her cheeks. Tom, please, can we talk about this privately? Why? I ask. You didn't mind discussing our marriage privately with Rick. I thought you might enjoy a more public conversation. More people are leaving now, the festive atmosphere completely destroyed. Rick's birthday party has become his public humiliation, exactly as I planned. This isn't over, Rick says quietly, his voice shaking with fury. You're right, I tell him. It's not. The fallout from Rick's birthday party is immediate and brutal. By Sunday morning, the story has spread through our entire social circle. My phone buzzes constantly with calls and texts from friends wanting to know if what they heard is true. Julia hasn't spoken to me since Saturday night. She came home, packed a bag, and left for her sister's house without saying a word. The silence in our house is deafening, but also oddly peaceful. For the first time in months, I'm not walking on eggshells, wondering what secrets are being kept from me. Rick, on the other hand, won't stop calling. I let every call go to voicemail, then listen to his increasingly desperate messages. Tom, you need to call me back. We need to talk about this like adults. This is insane, man. You've lost your mind. Call me. You've ruined everything. Everything. I hope you're happy. I am happy, actually. Happier than I've been in a long time. Monday morning at work, the story has somehow reached my coworkers. Steve corners me by the coffee machine. Dude, is it true about Julia and Rick? It's true. That's rough, man. I'm sorry. But he doesn't look sorry. He looks fascinated, hungry for details. Office gossip is like oxygen to people like Steve. What are you going to do? He asks. I'm going to finish what I started. Steve's eyes widen. What does that mean? It means Rick Banner hasn't seen anything yet. That afternoon, I get a call from Julia. Her voice is hoarse, like she's been crying for hours. We need to talk, she says. Okay, talk. Not over the phone. Can you meet me somewhere? Why? So you can explain how this is all my fault? How I drove you into Rick's arms by being such a terrible husband? Tom, please, I know you're angry. I'm not angry, Julia. I'm done. There's a long pause. What does that mean? It means I'm filing for divorce. It means you can be with Rick without having to sneak around. Isn't that what you wanted? It's not that simple. It seems pretty simple to me. You chose him. Now you get to live with that choice. I hang up before she can respond. That evening, Rick shows up at my house. I watch through the window as he sits in his BMW for 10 minutes, working up the courage to knock on my door. When he finally does, I take my time answering. We need to talk, he says. He looks terrible. Unshaven, rumpled clothes, dark circles under his eyes. Do we? You humiliated me in front of everyone I know. You humiliated yourself. I just provided the soundtrack. Rick pushes past me into the living room. This is my life you're destroying, Tom. My career, my relationship with Tara, my reputation. What about my life? I interrupt. What about my marriage, my trust, my friendship with you? That's different. How is it different? Rick runs his hands through his hair. Look, I never meant for it to happen. Julia and I, we just connected. We have things in common. We understand each other. You understand each other? You've known her for 10 years because she's married to me. Everything you know about her, you learned through me. That's not true, isn't it? When did you first start seeing Julia as more than just your friend's wife? When did you decide you wanted what I had? Rick's face flushes. It wasn't like that. Then what was it like? Explain it to me, Rick. Help me understand how my best friend decided to take my wife. I didn't take her. She came to me. She was unhappy, Tom. She needed someone to talk to, someone who would listen to her. And you just happened to be available. I was there for her when you weren't. The accusation hits like a slap. When wasn't I there? Come on, man. When's the last time you really paid attention to Julia? When's the last time you asked her about her dreams, her fears, her hopes for the future? I ask her about work every day. That's not the same thing. Then what is the same thing? What did you give her that I didn't? Rick looks uncomfortable. I listened to her. I made her feel special, appreciated. I reminded her that she's an amazing woman who deserves better than... He stops himself, but the damage is done. Better than what? I ask quietly. Better than being taken for granted. By me. By anyone. We stare at each other across my living room. Two men who used to be friends, now enemies over a woman who apparently doesn't want either of us. So what now? Rick asks. You've destroyed my life. Are you satisfied? Not even close. What else do you want from me? I smile and Rick takes a step backward. Something in my expression scares him. I want everyone to know exactly who Rick Banner really is, I tell him. Not just the affair, everything, all the lies, all the manipulation, all the times you've taken credit for other people's work. You're talking about high school stuff, ancient history. Am I? What about the Henderson account you supposedly landed last year? The one that got you your promotion? Rick goes very still. What about it? I know where that lead came from, Rick. I know whose connections you used, whose groundwork you built on. And I know you never gave them credit. That's business. That's theft. Just like stealing my wife was theft. Rick's hands clench into fists. For a moment, I think he might actually try to hit me. Part of me hopes he does. It would give me an excuse to hit back. Instead, he turns and walks toward the door. This isn't over, he says. No, I agree. It's not. After Rick leaves, I pour myself a drink and sit in my empty house, planning my next move. The birthday party was just the opening act. Now it's time for the main event. I pull out my laptop and start typing. Rick wants to play games? Fine. Let's see how he likes playing against someone who has nothing left to lose. Tuesday morning, I call in sick to work. I have more important things to do than review construction blueprints. I have a life to rebuild and a reputation to destroy. My first stop is Rick's office building. I park across the street and wait, watching the morning flow of employees heading to work. At 9:15, I see Rick's BMW pull into the parking garage. He looks haggard, defeated. Good. I give him 30 minutes to settle in, then I walk into the building lobby like I belong there. The security guard barely glances at my visitor's badge as I head for the elevators. Rick's company, Pinnacle Sales Solutions, occupies the entire 15th floor. The receptionist is young, probably fresh out of college, with bright eyes and a helpful smile. Hi, I tell her. I'm Tom Rourke. I have some information about Rick Banner that I think his supervisor should see. Her smile falters slightly. What kind of information? I pull out a manila folder thick with documents. The kind that could save your company from a very expensive lawsuit. 20 minutes later, I'm sitting in the office of Margaret Chen, Pinnacle's regional director and Rick's boss. She's a sharp woman in her 50s, all business and no patience for games. Mr. Rourke, she says, you mentioned potential legal issues involving Rick Banner. That's right. I slide the folder across her desk. Rick's been using company resources to conduct personal business. Specifically, to pursue an affair with a married woman. Margaret opens the folder and examines the contents. Phone records, email screenshots, Credit card statements showing expensive lunches and hotel visits during work hours. How did you obtain this information? She asks. The married woman is my wife. I have every legal right to investigate my own marriage. Margaret nods slowly. And you're bringing this to me because? Because Rick's been lying to you about other things too. The Henderson account that got him promoted, that was built on connections and groundwork provided by Tom Morrison at Fletcher Industries. Rick never mentioned Tom's contribution in his reports. I slide another set of documents across the desk, emails between Rick and Tom Morrison showing clearly that Morrison provided the initial contact, the background research, and even the first meeting setup. Rick's official report takes credit for all of it. Margaret studies the documents with growing concern. This is very serious. There's more. Rick's expense reports show charges for personal entertainment, meals with my wife that were claimed as client meetings, even hotel rooms that were used for personal purposes. Mr. Rourke, I appreciate you bringing this to my attention, but I have to ask, what do you want from this? I want Rick Banner fired. I want his reputation destroyed. I want him to lose everything, the same way he tried to take everything from me. Margaret leans back in her chair. That's quite an admission. I'm not hiding my motives. Rick betrayed me in the worst possible way. Now I'm returning the favor. I see. Margaret closes the folder. I'll need to investigate these allegations thoroughly before taking any action. Of course. But I think you'll find everything is well documented. I stand to leave, then pause at the door. Oh, and Margaret? Rick doesn't know I'm here. I'd prefer to keep it that way until you've completed your investigation. She nods. Understood. My next stop is the gym, where Rick works out every Tuesday and Thursday morning. I know his schedule because he's been bragging about his fitness routine for years, posting photos on social media of his workouts and protein shakes. The gym is busy with the morning crowd, professionals squeezing in exercise before work, retirees taking advantage of off-peak hours, college students between classes. I spot Rick at the bench press, lifting weights with the focused intensity of a man trying to work off stress. I wait until he finishes his set, then approach with a friendly smile. Rick, fancy meeting you here. He looks up, startled and wary. Tom, what are you doing here? Just thought I'd try a new gym. This place has great reviews online. Rick sits up, grabbing his towel. Look, if you're here to cause more problems... Problems? What problems? I'm just here to work out. But I'm not here to work out, and Rick knows it. I'm here to make him uncomfortable, to remind him that I can show up anywhere, anytime, that his life is no longer private or safe. I sign up for a day pass and spend the next hour exercising near Rick, making casual conversation with other gym members. I mention that I'm going through a divorce, that my wife had an affair with my best friend, that it's been really hard to trust people lately. The other gym members are sympathetic, offering advice and support. A few of them know Rick by sight, and I can see them looking at him with new understanding. By the time I leave, Rick's reputation at his favorite gym has taken a serious hit. Wednesday afternoon, I get a call from Julia's sister, Monica. Tom, what the hell is wrong with you? Nice to hear from you too, Monica. Julia's a mess. She's been crying for 3 days straight. I'm sorry to hear that. Are you? Because it seems like you're enjoying destroying her life. I didn't destroy her life, Monica. She did that herself when she decided to cheat on me with my best friend. That doesn't give you the right to humiliate her in public, doesn't it? She humiliated me for months, sneaking around behind my back, lying to my face, making me look like a fool. Turnabout seems fair. Monica sighs. She wants to come home, Tom. She wants to work things out. Does she? Or does she just want to avoid the consequences of her choices? She made a mistake. People make mistakes. This wasn't a mistake, Monica. This was a choice. A series of choices, made over months. Julia chose Rick over me, over our marriage, over our future together. Now she gets to live with that choice. So that's it? 10 years of marriage and you're just throwing it all away? I'm not throwing anything away. Julia already threw it away. I'm just cleaning up the mess. Thursday morning, Rick's revenge begins. I arrive at work to find my boss, Jim Patterson, waiting by my desk with a grim expression. Tom, we need to talk. We go into his office where Jim closes the door and sits heavily behind his desk. I got a call yesterday, he says. Someone claiming you've been embezzling from the company. My stomach drops. That's ridiculous. I know it is, but I have to investigate any allegations of financial impropriety. You understand that, right? Of course. What exactly am I accused of? Jim pulls out a folder. Inflated expense reports, kickbacks from contractors, falsified timesheets. The caller said he had documentation. Did he give you his name? No, but he said he was a concerned friend who couldn't stand to see the company being stolen from. Rick. It has to be Rick. This is his counterattack, his attempt to destroy my career the way I'm destroying his. Jim, you know me. You know I would never steal from this company. I do know you, Tom. That's why I'm giving you a heads up instead of just calling security. But I still have to do a full audit of your accounts. It's company policy. I understand. Do whatever you need to do. The audit takes 3 days. 3 days of accountants going through every expense report I've filed, every contractor payment I've approved, every hour I've billed. It's humiliating and stressful, but I'm not worried. I've never stolen a penny from Patterson Construction. Friday afternoon, Jim calls me back into his office. The audit came back clean, he says. No evidence of any financial impropriety. Relief floods through me. Thank you for being thorough. Don't thank me yet. Whoever made that call also sent copies of their allegations to 3 of our biggest clients. I've spent the week reassuring them that you're trustworthy, but the damage is done. They're asking for you to be removed from their projects. My relief evaporates. Jim, I need this job. I know you do, and I'm not firing you, but I have to reassign you to smaller projects for a while until this blows over. It's not firing, but it might as well be. Smaller projects mean smaller commissions, less responsibility, fewer opportunities for advancement. Rick has effectively sabotaged my career without getting me fired outright. I'm sorry, Tom. I know this isn't fair. It's not your fault, Jim. You did what you had to do. But as I clean out my desk and move to a smaller office, I'm planning Rick's complete destruction. He wants to play dirty? Fine, I can play dirtier. That evening I sit in my empty house and make a list of everyone Rick has ever wronged, every bridge he's ever burned, every enemy he's ever made. Then I start making phone calls. By Sunday night, I've spoken to 12 different people who have grudges against Rick Banner. Former co-workers, ex-girlfriends, business rivals, college roommates. People who have been waiting years for someone to give them ammunition against the golden boy who always seemed to land on his feet. Now they have their ammunition, and I'm just getting started. Rick Banner wanted a war. Now he's got one. The only question is which one of us will be left standing when the smoke clears.